Welcome, I'm Jennifer Salazar and this is Toronto Cares. Ronald McDonald House Toronto offers families a home away from home while their seriously ill child is being cared for in a Toronto area hospital. This episode, we get a first-hand look at how this house is so much more than just a convenient place to stay.
Well, the mission of the Ronald McDonald House Toronto is to provide a home away from home for seriously ill children and their families who need a place to come to heal better together. It provides shelter, but that's just one small element of what it provides. It provides the comforts of home. It provides an opportunity for a family to stay together through a very devastating time in their lives. They can eat meals together, they can sleep together in a bedroom, they're close to their sick child in the hospital, they're close to their well children who are living in the home with the family. Those children and the seriously ill children too have an opportunity to go to school, continue their education here at the house. They have an opportunity to participate in therapeutic play. There's support services for the parents. There are support services for all of the family members. And it's a really supportive and loving community overall. And it's an essential service for these families. So Ronald McDonald House Toronto is the first house in Canada. It was opened in 1981 in response to a tremendous need by the hospital, local sick children's hospital, the family members, and the community, suggesting that such a resource was needed to support families coming from all over Canada and perhaps outside of Canada to use the tremendous facilities of Sick Children's Hospital, and they needed a place to house these families and provide that necessary support and shelter. So what you would find inside Ronald McDonald House Toronto, first of all, is a loving, caring environment for children, seriously ill children, and their families to stay together and heal together. You walk in, there is a warm reception, people are welcomed, there is a main area for families to congregate and share meals together. Each family has their own very private bedroom, family room for them to stay in as a family when they need quiet time. And when they want to interact with other families, in addition to the dining area, there is a lounge where families can go and talk and download and share some of the difficulties that they're having managing probably one of the most devastating things a family can manage. Ronald McDonald House Toronto is within walking distance of one of the most important hospitals in the country, Sick Children's Hospital. That's where these families, many families who are using the resources of Ronald McDonald House Toronto, have their children being treated, seriously ill children being treated. It also supports Mount Sinai Hospital, which is also across the street, so also in walking distance. Its access to public transport is quite easy. And it's very centrally located for families to basically move about walking. The lengths of stay are on average just under 40 days per family. There's about 10,000 family sleeps in a year that happen each year here. The family situation at Ronald McDonald House is a good news, bad news story. We have 28 rooms here at Ronald McDonald House Toronto, and they are at full capacity at all times. That's the good news, that we serve 28 families at a time. The bad news is that we turn away over 70% of the people who are in critical need for this type of resource, and that's a true shame, because these devastated families, they get the phone calls saying that they've got not only a critically ill child, but that now they have to travel with that child and perhaps some of their other children to Toronto, big downtown Toronto, with nowhere to stay and nowhere to go. I thought about, what are some of the words that best describe Ronald McDonald House Toronto? And the first one was essential. It is absolutely essential to provide this necessary resource to these families at a time when they need the most help in their lives. Looking after a critically ill child, managing the rest of their families, keeping everybody together, and trying to enjoy some of the simple comforts of life that you and I take for granted on a day-to-day basis. In addition to being essential, this place is hopeful for those who are here, for those who are managing this devastating situation in their lives. It gives them hope to look forward to a day where they're not worried about health, they're not worried about their children being healthy and being able to play and going outside and just being normal. So this brings a little bit of normalcy and a little bit more hope to those people who need it at the time when they need it the most. And the last word I thought was inspirational, because a lot of us go through our days worrying about the small things in life, and it just takes a few seconds to see what these families are going through and doing it with such courage and such love for one another that it's truly an inspiration for anybody who has the privilege of coming here and seeing or meeting a family.
We're the only Ronald McDonald House in Canada to have an official school. There are a few houses that have education programs or something similar where a teacher will come in and do some tutoring, but we're the only house to actually employ a teacher and to have a classroom. Basically, the day is set up into different learning sessions. So we do have school from 8:45 until 4 every day, but the times of school differ depending on how old the children are. So for example, in the morning from 8:45 to 10:15, children who are in junior kindergarten to grade 3, they would attend school. And then from 10:15 to 12, we have an all ages session. So that at that point, any child who's in the house, all the way from junior kindergarten to grade 12, would come and participate. Then in the afternoon, there's an grades 4 to 8 session and a high school session. So it's a really busy day, and it really depends. I start the day with 4-year-olds and end with teenagers. So it really differs at what time you come into the classroom, at what's going on at that point. And can you put an S on the end of that? When a family comes, they often can't even say, I'm going to be here for a week, I'm going to be here for a month. Often they don't know. They're just coming, they're overwhelmed, they've just been given a diagnosis, and now they're like, okay, now I'm putting my child in school and I don't really know. So here we are constantly dealing with that, with a student who might be here for a week, then a student who might be here for 2 months, and then a student who's here for 9 months. And trying to keep it interesting, making sure that they are getting what they need to fulfill the curriculum expectations of whatever school district they're from, but also making, people who are here for one day feel included as well. A lot of the children who are sick have said how much of a difference it's made when their siblings are here, and I also will see that. I'll see if a child was here for a little bit by themselves, and then when their siblings come, how much that improves the quality of their life, and they're just a lot happier to be together as a whole family. Also, if someone's at home staying with someone else, sometimes that can cause stress because they're very scared about what's going on with their brother or sister, and they feel like they're not in the loop. So I find that when they are together, it's the best for the families. A lot of people will say, well, why would you worry about school? Why are you worrying about school when you're worrying about life and death? But the fact is that a lot of children now, it's a lot better, the survival rates, and if they go back to school after they've survived cancer and they've beaten cancer, and then they have to go back, and now they can't be with their friends, they've lost an entire year. Socially, that can be very stressful for them. So the concerns after, now you've gotten over the illness, but you've got a long way to go. So it's very important to try to keep them with their peer group and to keep them academically up. Every day something happens in the school that makes me happy that I'm here. There isn't one day that goes by that I don't think, oh, that was, even though it's hard, there's always something that happens every day that makes me happy that I am a part of this organization and just a part of their lives, because this is a very difficult time for them. It's a traumatic time. And you know, it's something that you have to feel almost grateful yourselves that they allow you to be with them during this really difficult time, because it's hard to let people in. It's hard to try to take other steps besides just dealing with the illness. And you know, even just dealing with the school or enrolling your child in a school, that's a huge step for families. So it's great when they're able to do that and recognize the importance of it. The school helps keep families together, because that is a major concern. If you have other siblings, what are you going to do with, or other children, what are you going to do with them? And without the schooling option, it's true, a lot of families would not bring their children. So I've heard that from numerous families, how grateful they are that there is a school here so that they can all be together.
After the break, we meet a family staying at Ronald McDonald House while their newborn baby receives treatment at the Hospital for Sick Children.
We have 4 kids. My oldest is named Austin. He's 12 years old. My second is Zachary. He's 5 years old. And third is Jasmine. She's 2 years old. And there's Michaela. She's 8 weeks old today. Yeah, roughly 4 months before she was born, we found out she was going to be born with half a heart. It's a hypoplastic left heart syndrome. And they told us, they ran us through the possibilities of where we were going to go with this.
It was just very overwhelming, definitely heartbreaking. You know, when you have your one little baby and you can feel her moving and kicking inside, and then knowing something may be wrong, or you know, she may not make it through, and it was just definitely overwhelming.
Well, we live in Windsor, and on any given good day, you could make it from Windsor to here and back in about 8 to 9 hours. With your traffic here in Toronto, yeah, that plan is out the window. So we knew we couldn't commute. Even on a weekly basis, it was just too much for us. And the first week, we ended up staying in a hotel, which was very expensive, we found out later on.
It wasn't until we had talked to our social workers and stuff like that at Sick Kids, we found out about this place, and it's just been amazing. And the people that's here to help, and you know, the things they do for the family is just amazing in itself. You know, we have 3 other kids, and for us to just bring them here, and with the money situation that we're in and everything, all the expenses, it's really hard for us to bring them here and to do things with them. Whereas being here at Ronald McDonald House and the volunteers and everything, and you know, the tickets and things they come up with, and just to, you know, help us out with the family, they're very family orientated.
First and foremost, finance it's saved us. We would never be able to come down here and tackle this on our own. Secondly, the families that we've met here have been encouragement. When you think that you have it the worst, there's always somebody that has it worse off. We've talked to many families in here, and it's been really, really nice to be able to talk to other families and parents that are going through similar experiences. And it's nice to have a place kind of like home to go to every night. We miss, obviously, our home, but this has been definitely the closest thing to a home.
As a mother, you know, it's difficult even just leaving the hospital for 5 minutes for a coffee break, not alone, you know, driving 4 hours home and then having to come back if anything should happen.
The people that work here are just amazing. Again, even the sick kids nurses, they're absolutely phenomenal. They're beautiful people. We haven't met a single nurse that's been, I can't even say a bad word about them. I mean, they're beautiful people. As a matter of fact, the nurses that have worked on Michaela come in and haven't been working on her lately, have come in between their shifts to come see how she's doing and to check up on us. So it's been a blessing. Everybody, between Sick Kids and Ronald McDonald House, I don't know how anybody could do it on their own.
Still to come, we get a tour of the Ronald McDonald House Toronto's new building site, which once open will allow them to triple the number of families they can help.
It's a very exciting project. They're an amazing group of people to be working for. In fact, we consider it an enormous privilege to be able to work on this building. To be able to design a building for them that will be participating in the healing process is for us a great honor, really. Early on, together with the people at the home, we established a theme of a home in the garden in the city, and it's the place in between the home and the city that's the garden, which is so important for us because that's where there can be that transition between the city and the place you call home. So another big aspect for us, of course, was that an individual requires choice to be able to get that sense of well-being. So much control has been taken away from their lives. With an unwell child, nobody really knows what the cause is. Nobody knows what the outcome is going to be. You can feel quite powerless under those circumstances. So again, when you're here, if you have a measure of control over how you're able to use the space and live here, then that helps in the restoring process as well, so that you can choose to be alone in your room. You can choose to come down to the ground floor here and be part of the community with all the other families. And even when you're down here, you can choose to sit alone in the living room, or you can choose to sit with others. You can choose to have a meal by yourself, or you can push all the tables together and have 3 or 4 families sharing a birthday, for instance. So that measure of choice is very important. But also a really important thing that we discovered as we were interviewing the families during the early part of the design process is, there you are in a room. You might have 2 or 3 children there, 1 or 2 parents. The youngest child may go to sleep at 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night. And what does the rest of the family do? You can't leave a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old alone in the room. What we're hopeful will happen is that the family would then be able to go out into this hall that's just outside the bedroom door, that will have chairs and tables in it, and sit and read a book, or play a game of checkers with the other child, or whatever you want to do, as well as engage the other families that are in a similar position, knowing full well that you can say to the child, we're just out in the hall. If you need us, that's where we are. It is targeting something called LEED Gold. So LEED is a checklist, basically, that's been put together by the Canadian Green Building Council. That means it'll be a very sustainable building, and some of the measures that we've employed for that are, on the roof, there are solar thermal panels that the charity will own. That will be used to heat all the water that we use in the laundry and the showers and in the kitchens. We're gathering all the rainwater from the roof into a cistern, and we'll use that for irrigating the gardens. Because of the amount of daylight that we have, the need for electric lights will be minimal during the day. We've used energy efficient appliances and fixtures and equipment, so yes, it'll be a very green building. Well, it is a home, really, that's the thing, and it's a home for so many people. I can't tell you how many times. We've been doing this for 5 years now. It's been in the planning stages and now in construction 4 or 5 years. We've really got to know all the people that work there, some of the volunteers, of course the board members very well, and many of the families who are using the services. It's just tremendous. I mean, the people that do all this work are extraordinary, and to be a small part of it by just deciding where to put a wall and where to put a ceiling is responsibility for that.
There are so many families waiting for a facility like Ronald McDonald House Toronto that we just had the urgent need to build this kind of facility. We've been managing wait lists for far too many years, and last year alone we turned away as many as 70% of those people who called us. Our board of directors took a very thoughtful approach to this whole project, and we gathered a lot of information as to what the medical trends were doing, what the demand was going to be, forecasted well into the future for the next 10 to 15 years. We looked at financial feasibility studies and so on, and our capabilities to raise the necessary funds to build a new house like this. It's a big project for us, and for a small charity, we've bitten off a lot. Our total project costs are about $34.5 million, and to date we've raised $32.5 million. So while we're thrilled with that, we still have a little ways to go. What's going to be in this building is going to be 81 family units. There'll be 96 bedrooms in total, so we'll be serving 81 families at any one time, which is 3 times the number of families we can serve today, which is huge. And that's the primary intent of this project. But we also recognize that many of our families need all kinds of support while they're with us, and for them to be able to travel together as a family, we need supportive services in place so that they can manage their life in as normal a fashion as possible. Things like our play program and our child life program really assist the children with coping with a very strange and traumatic healthcare experience, or they may be a sibling that's going through their own difficulties coping with a very stressful situation. And for parents, we have things like a library, we have a fitness center, all those kinds of facilities that will help them relieve stress through some very difficult days. And we've had some community activities that have really helped to spur our goals along as well. We had a great event at the Carlew last June, which we called Construction Chic, and we had prominent community members celebrating in denim and black tie in a very distinctly construction-themed event, which was a lot of fun and raised a lot of money for the project as well. We've been embarking on lots of creative different campaigns to get the necessary funds in place. We started, of course, with those friends who are closest to us, the McDonald's Corporation and the independent franchisee owners in the Greater Toronto Area, as well as Northern Ontario, because we serve a great population from that area as well. And of course, Ronald McDonald House Charities is a proud supporter of ours. And we look to our founding partner, who is Sick Kids Hospital, and they were very generous with a grant from Sick Kids Foundation as well. And of course, we've attracted many generous donors who are present board members, who are former board members, and we have a stable of very consistent and loyal corporate supporters who continue to support us through this project as well.
Well, we wanted to give something back to the community. We wanted to give something back into our own backyard, back into the community. And it took us 102 years to save up the $2 million donation. But we really worked hard on finding something that would be a long-lasting contribution within the community that we all work in. And so that's why we chose the Toronto Ronald McDonald House. We're actually very excited about the opening, and something that our members could come down and take a look at and be proud that this is something that will be in the community for a very long time.
Every family needs a place to call their own and for them to come together in a space as a family. And this is going to provide that much needed space and refuge for them. It will be a place for them to rest at the end of the day, regather their strength to carry on the fight that they are going through every single day.
For more information on Ronald McDonald House Toronto, or to make a donation, you can visit www.rmhtoronto.org. I'm Jennifer Salazar, and this is the place we show you each week how Toronto cares.